Most Supreme Court decisions are granular, little noticed interpretations of the law and Constitution, but a few are landmarks. Roe v. Wade was a landmark. It effectively legalized abortion across the United States. Here are the facts and players in the case. Jane Roe was actually Norma McCorvey. She was a Texan in her early 20s who wanted to terminate an unwanted pregnancy in 1969. Abortion was legal in Texas at the time, but only for the purpose of saving a woman's life. That was not the issue for McCorvey. Her life was not at risk. She tried unsuccessfully to get an illegal abortion and was referred to two attorneys interested in challenging anti-abortion laws. The Wade in Roe v. Wade was Henry Wade, the district attorney of Dallas County, who enforced that Texas abortion law. McCorvey soon filed a case against him. The Supreme Court agreed in 1971 to hear the case, and on January 22, 1973, struck down the Texas law in a 7-2 decision. Justice Harry Blackmun wrote for the majority opinion and declared a woman's right to privacy under the 14th Amendment superseded a state's right to ban abortion. The court set different rules for each trimester. In the first trimester, the choice to end pregnancy was entirely up to the mother. In the second trimester, the government could regulate but not ban abortion in order to protect the mother's health. In the third trimester, the state could prohibit abortion to protect a fetus that could survive outside the womb, except when the mother's health is in danger. Justices Byron White and William Rehnquist dissented. They basically held the argument of privacy went far beyond the intentions of the constitutional framers, an argument that could signal the grounds for challenges to Roe. The two justices also stated the court's decision did not stick to the specific facts of this case because Roe was not in her first trimester at the time of the litigation. Public opinion was quickly shifting. In August 1972, Americans opposed legalized abortion, 46 to 42%. But by April 1973, it was 52 to 41 in favor. In the years since, Roe's been modified but not overturned. A notable example was in 1992, a case called Planned Parenthood versus Casey. For all intents and purposes, this is the new standard by which abortion cases are judged. The focus this time wasn't privacy, it was roadblocks, which had been intentionally set up to make it harder to get an abortion. In a 5-4 ruling, the court said restrictions are unconstitutional if they place an undue burden on a woman. Support for Roe v. Wade remains strong. A Kaiser Family Foundation poll in June 2018 found that 67% of Americans do not want the Supreme Court to overturn the ruling, while 29% do. The question now, of course, is what the Supreme Court will do with a solid conservative majority.
Yes, this is a blockbuster announcement. The Supreme Court has voted to overturn Roe v. Wade. This decision just came down. It's a 213-page decision. You've got to read through all of that to find out if there are any dissents, who dissented, what precisely they said, and is this ruling precisely the same now as the draft that was leaked earlier. Tammy Bruce, still with me. I'm concerned, look, I don't know what the reaction is so far, but I'm very concerned about these days of rage which are promised outside the justices' homes.
Yes, well, it certainly has not been a secret. We've known what this group has argued they're going to do. It sounds, many have argued that this is like domestic terrorism. This has also been an effort to try to influence the court, which is a federal crime. And yet the Department of Justice has not acted on that. That is, and then we had, of course, the attempted murder of Justice Kavanaugh. So we know that there are unhinged people who are reacting to the rhetoric from the left, which has been insightful. It has been inappropriate. It's also mostly been a lie. That this does not, while Roe versus Wade is overturned, it does not make abortion illegal. It simply moves it to the states. The Supreme Court does not make law. They don't decide what's law and what is not law. They say what's constitutional. And as a result, this means that the states, and which, as I've argued, feminists and everyone should applaud, is that it's closer to your vote, that you have more of a chance of controlling and influencing your state legislature and even organizing to influence various state legislatures.
Exactly.
This is what then the left prides itself in being able to do. And yet they don't do it because they've liked this tension. They've liked this division. They've wanted this to be able to have these days of rage. They don't want success. They don't want to actually work at changing the issue while complaining about the court and then being upset that this issue is now no longer at that level. That tells you that their intentions are not about women's health or even abortion. It's about how to divide the American people. My left-wing activism began on this issue. And this is, I consider, a success because of women's power and influence as voters, with a majority of voters now, and our power in existing political office, in social issues, in general with the internet. So this is, however, the rhetoric has moved, like these groups, these left-wing groups, to perpetuate any kind of violence and division, and that is something all of us should condemn, and the DOJ should act on in arresting individuals they know are conspiring to do any kind of violence against churches, against pregnancy centers, and against Supreme Court justices.
Why haven't they got an informer inside? What's the name of this organization that's threatening days of rage?
It's like Ruth sent us, and then,
no,
but that, not that group. There's a secondary group.
Yeah.
These are ad hoc groups, by the way, and I remember them when I was on the left. Ad hoc groups that are formed underneath existing groups that don't dare do something like this. They make up names, and then they're free to make the threats that they want to make anonymously. And at this point, the Department of Justice, perhaps they're doing things that we're unaware of to protect the justices and to deal with these groups like they have.
Jane's Revenge is the name.
Jane's Revenge.
Yeah.
So just like they've done with the white supremacist groups, and they've, like, raided homes and arrested people, this needs to be taken seriously.
Congressman Mike Waltz is with us, Republican from the great state of Florida. Congressman, the ruling has come down, 213 pages of it. What's your news today?
Well, Stu, I mean, to Tammy Bruce's point, and I think it's worth reinforcing, the Congress has never passed federal legislation one way or another on abortion, that you have a national right to it or a national ban. And that's why the Roe versus Wade decision 50 years ago was so overreaching and so unconstitutional. Essentially, they were legislating from the Supreme Court. And I truly applaud it being struck down. It was unconstitutional. And also, to her point, it's back to the states now. And it is for the state legislators, not courts.
It's been taken out of the legal realm. I think what's important here is it's been taken out of the legal constitutional realm and put into the political realm, which restores power to voters. Voters and we, the people, may now express our opinion on how we want our society to be run. I think in that respect, I think this is a good ruling. You too?
That's right, but that's not going to be the narrative from the left.
Nope.
Be prepared for the scorched earth tactics of the left, both politically as we head into the midterms, but also emotionally in trying to ramp people up. Do
you think it helps them? Do you think this helps the Democrats, Congressman? I'm sorry to interrupt you. Do you think this helps the Democrats?
I do think it helps the Democrats politically because they will use it with essentially the lie of the narrative that this is some type of national ban. They want to go after suburban women. And they will twist and turn this narrative. But I also think they're going to overreach. Almost assassinating a Supreme Court justice is just unconscionable. Thank God we passed the law to at least be able to protect their family and authorize law enforcement. And by the way, Stu, where's the leaker? Where's the leaker that leaked this? Exactly. And where's the accountability there to try to influence this decision? But the justices, stood their ground. I think this is a correct decision. And finally, the science has changed. And if we can get that narrative out there that unborn babies feel pain, they have heartbeats, they are lives that deserve to be protected. I think we have to shift the narrative on our side. This isn't about women's what a woman has a right to do. This is about a young baby, a young child that deserves a chance. And this is about children's rights as much as it is anything else.
Congressman, hold on for a second. I'm just trying to bring our audience up to speed on what's happened here. The ruling has come down from the Supreme Court, and Roe v. Wade has been overturned.
Case regarding Roe versus Wade is now in. All right, so this is the case that involves Roe v. Wade, established 49 years ago. The decision is out. It's been issued by Justice Alito. And Roe v. Wade, according to our reports from the U.S. Supreme Court and our own Shannon Bream, is that Roe v. Wade has been overturned, and the question of abortion has been returned to the states. It's been 50 years since that landmark Supreme Court ruling, and conservatives in government and in law have been working for 50 years to overturn it. And this is the live reaction now in real time outside the U.S. Supreme Court in our nation's capital.
What you're seeing there are people who are overjoyed about the decision in this particular shot here. And then you also have people who are obviously going to be dismayed about this. This leak happened about 56 days ago or so, 55 days ago, and they've been waiting for this. We do have some great team coverage for you. We believe, Shannon Bream, are you available to us now?
I am, and as you know, we now get these by computer. In the old days, we would get the hard copies and we would run them down the steps, but the initial first line of the read of the syllabus, which is not the actual opinion, but it is the summary of the decision. It says that Roe and Casey are overruled. And the voting that we thought was together, it looks like it has stayed together. Justice Alito has authored the opinion. He is joined by Justices Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, Thomas, and Barrett. There are a couple of concurrences. The one that we're most interested in is going to be the one by the Chief Justice. And we'll see what he had to write, because we've thought all along he would not be a vote to overturn Roe. But that he would be somebody who might want to try to find some middle ground. That Mississippi law, which bans most abortions after 15 weeks, that he would essentially probably uphold that, but not want to go that extra step for Roe. And the court essentially says today that Roe and Casey are gone. It says, we end this opinion where we began. Abortion presents a profound moral question. The Constitution does not prohibit the citizens of each state from regulating or prohibiting abortion. Roe and Casey arrogated that authority. We now overrule those decisions and return that authority to the people and their elected representatives. The judgment of the Fifth Circuit reversed and remanded for further proceedings. So Roe and Casey, officially, this vote is out. The votes are in. Once it's officially out, you know, the leak, it was interesting, but it didn't lock these votes in. They're now officially in. And Roe and Casey, you can hear, I think, a lot of the pro-life groups that are out there behind us at the court. They've been fighting for this ever since Roe. And now this victory that many of them didn't think was going to be possible, some of them in their lifetimes. But based on these states that after Roe and in the last couple of years have specifically passed laws they knew would go immediately to court, Mississippi was one of those. Many of the lawmakers involved said our ideal in this is to get this to the court to challenge Roe. They knew it wouldn't stand up against initial challenges, or that it would be immediately in court. And so something that started a couple years ago in the state legislature has now made it here to the Supreme Court and has done what they hope to do, which is dismantle Roe v. Casey in a 5-4 vote. And we'll look at the Chief's concurrence, too, to see what his language on this is. We never thought he was part of the majority, those 5 votes to put this together, but it'll be interesting exactly to see what he says on this. But with that opinion from Justice Alito, we'll see how closely this tracks with the draft. But the bottom line doesn't change. Roe and Casey have been overruled.
Shannon, reading 2 lines from the opinion here, quote, "There is nothing in the Constitution about abortion, and the Constitution does not implicitly protect the right." Here's another line. "It is time to heed the Constitution and return the issue of abortion to the people's elected representatives," quoting from that opinion to the Supreme Court for how the reaction is happening now live.
Yeah, and not surprising that the justices that are dissenting would stick together. We do have a couple of concurrences. Justice Thomas wrote his own concurrence. Justice Kavanaugh did as well. And the Chief is the one that we're going to want to look at. But let me get to the dissent here, and let's see what they have to say, because we know they've been very full-throated. There have been tensions at the court. We've seen that in some of what has come out in other opinions recently, particularly from Justice Sotomayor, has had some language about the court being restless. Although she had very nice words to say about Justice Thomas not long ago, we know that there has been some distrust. We don't have the name of the leaker who originally gave us that opinion or gave it to Politico weeks ago. And so what we're left with is a lot of suspicion within the court. We haven't had any updates on that leak investigation. And so we don't know how close the court is or is not into finding that. Here we have Justice Breyer, Sotomayor, and Kagan all sign their name to the dissent. So instead of saying Justice Breyer writes or Justice Sotomayor writes and they all, the others join, they have all 3 put their name on this dissent. And they talk about the fact that women for nearly half a century have relied on Roe v. Wade. The government could not control a woman's body or the course of her life. It could not determine what her future would be. They say we get the divisiveness of this particular issue. There's nothing else like it out there. But it says today the court discards balance. It says that from the very moment of fertilization, a woman has no rights to speak of. A state can force her to bring a pregnancy to term, even at the steepest personal and familial costs. An abortion restriction the majority holds is permissible whenever rational, the lowest level of scrutiny known to the law. Clearly, those three have written a very spirited dissent. And it's important to remember as well, states across the country have a lot of trigger laws that are going to kick in now from this decision, and they go to the extremes. And some states, it's going to be virtually impossible to get an abortion legally. And others, I talked with Governor Jared Polis not long ago. Colorado is essentially up until the moment of birth. They have nothing that stops you from having an abortion there. People may travel. Some of these states may become abortion sanctuaries. Some of the states that have called themselves pro-life sanctuaries on the other side say, in this state, you won't be able to get an abortion. So this decision appears to confirm everything that we saw from that leak weeks ago. There's been a lot of back and forth about why the court didn't just get this out, because until we got this official opinion today, these votes were cast in stone. There was a worry about these justices. We have somebody now charged with thinking about trying to assassinate Justice Kavanaugh. So today it is official. The votes are locked in. We have 7 other opinions left, but I don't think anybody's too worried about those at this moment.